Hey everybody, I've gotten a new camera, believe it or not, went on Amazon Prime and just got so tired of the audio and video not working. Now this camera is advertised as a 4K camera, but I got it set on just regular HD at like 60 frames a second. It's not going to be like a E&G type $4,000 Sony, some of the cameras that, sports people use, but this camera is going to kick ass, okay? So I decided to splurge on myself and go out and spend a couple of $100 and got one that's got a boom microphone so you can hear me better now. So we are ready to be almost like we're in Hollywood, okay? So I'm going to give you kind of a in-depth update since I'm going back and using the YouTube format. The wings are now painted, as you can kind of see in the periphery here. The airplane has these big old honking flaps. Actually, these flaps are bigger wingspan than some of the very first airplanes I made. All the hinges I 3D printed, and I used the direction of the 3D print for the strength. So basically, if you think about wood and the grains of wood, I'm going long ways on the grain of the 3D print for the strength. So the 3D printed hinges worked. 3D printed hinges worked awesome. The flaps has 3 control horns, which means there's 3 servos running the flap. The ailerons are kind of the same thing. They got 3 hinges. They are right now fiberglass on the bottom. They're not fiberglass on the top, and they got 3D printed hinges, and they're kind of kick-ass. Now, one of the most difficult things on this aircraft, and I'm not sure how good this is going to show up right now, was where I've got the camera setting. So let's move the camera for a minute, like this. But this is the riser diagram for the airplane, okay? So this riser diagram has this ledger here, and this lists all of the things are going to be operated on the airplane, okay? The spoiler one, keep in mind each wing, and I'll talk about this in a minute, each wing has 2 spoilers, which are 2 channels with 4 servos. So spoiler 1 and 2 is in the left wing, spoiler 3 or 4 is in the right wing. They work with the roll channels that, create the roll of the airplane with the ailerons, okay? I've only got 1 aileron channel, but I don't need 2 aileron channels on this airplane, unless I were going to dip them for flaps, and right now I'm not. I'm running out of channels. So I'm using all 18 channels. I have 32 servos in this airplane. I have 2 receivers. In one wing, there is 12 servos, okay? So there are 4 for the leading edge slats. There's 4 for the spoilers, which is 2 channels. There are 3 for the flaps and 1 for the aileron, a big honk and 1 on the aileron. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12. So there's 12 servos in each wing. That's 24 servos just for the 2 wings. So let's talk about the wing for a minute. And I'm going to try to get you over here and get you to see the wing a little bit better here and make sure my tripod's working right here. So on the wing, and actually hang on, I'm going to take the camera a little freestyle here. So let me remember how to unhook all of this. There we go. So I just want to make sure I don't shut off the camera. So basically, this is where the spoilers are. So this torque rod here is run by these 2 servos, and down there's another 2 servos, which runs this torque rod. So what happens is when this servo pushes this torque rod, so here's the servo, when this servo moves the torque rod, this arm here is extending the spoiler. So there's a spoiler here, a spoiler there, flaps here, aileron down here, and then on the leading edge, We have 4 servo-driven, basically what looks like the front of a airfoil, and then we have the pivot devices, which are like the slave unit. So we have 3 spoiler sections that are all running off one channel, and that's the wing. Tonight we're going to come back and actually start mounting a lot of hardware on these wings. When we look at the fuselage, and hang on a minute. When we look at the fuselage, I left the open up here because the LiPo batteries will go here, the ESCs will go here with fans, and there's going to be a whole cooling system here to get air through here. And the air system for the brakes, because it has air brakes, go here. These openings here are for the 10 gauge wire. Let's see if I can show it to you here. But these are the 10 gauge wires that come from the motors to the ESCs. And don't start sending me all the crazy emails that I don't know what I'm doing. This is not my first rodeo. Hang on, everybody. I want to remount my camera. So don't send me emails saying, Damon, you can't extend the motor wires. You definitely can. I've tested it and it works and I know what I'm talking about, okay? So don't send me the crazy emails, everybody. So here's the thing. You don't want to go basically more than a foot between the battery and the ESCs, because the way that the ESCs work, it causes the power to hammer the capacitors, and that hammering can damage the capacitors and blow up your capacitors on your ESC. However, from the ESC out to the motor, you can kind of make that as long as you want, as long as you understand you're going to get a bunch of voltage drop if you go like 100 feet, which I don't know if 100 feet would work. I don't know if the timing on it would even work at 100 feet. But I've tested it up to 8 feet and it works perfect, okay? So that's how that's going to work. The last things that I've really got to do on this, and believe me, we're going to do a lot of videos together where I'm finishing it out. So the horizontal stabilizers need tips put on them, and they need to be glassed and painted just like this. The vertical stabilizers still need to have the rudders cut out of them and servos put on those, and then glassed. And then comes getting all the wiring in it. There will be 2 receivers, and the receivers will be split between different control surfaces. So an example is if I lose one receiver, I'll still have both front motors or both rear motors. If I lose a receiver, I will still have the spoilers and ailerons on one wing, or the spoilers on one wing and the aileron on the other wing. I still haven't figured out how I want to split that up yet, but I think I'm going to do that. Elevator halves will be split. I don't need to split anything else because they're not. I don't need to split like controls to the landing gear, brakes, or the door for the cargo, or the hatch for dropping it. I mean the releases for dropping it. One thing is that there are, and here, let me see if I can get the camera over here. There are, and yeah, you can kind of see it. There are going to be 8 all threads. Actually, this isn't lined up very good. 8 all threads come up through the top of the wing and go all the way out the bottom of the fuselage. And on the bottom of the fuselage, there's aluminum plates that capture it. So we'd have to pull those aluminum plates all the way through the fuselage for the wing to come off. But what's nice is I'm going to leave about 1 inch of thread sticking up out of these, because this is where the 2 mounts will go. So when we want to put a space shuttle on the back of this, this will be the hard mounts for the shuttle wings. So this is going to be a total utility airplane, everybody. When you look at it from 100 feet away, you're going to go, man, that's a neat utility airplane. But when you get up this close, you're going to go, holy crap, this guy didn't finish this worth of shit. And basically, I didn't. I glassed the airplane, I lightly sanded it with like 220 sandpaper, and then I rolled on paint really thin, 3 layers to make it as light as possible. I had the question asked to me through an email, how much does latex paint weigh? Latex paint, I believe, is made up of 60% water when it's in a gallon. So just take 40% of 8 pounds, and that's what a gallon weighs of paint dry. So I'm using a half gallon, which would be 4 pounds of latex, take 40% of that, and that's what it is dried. So that I'm not adding hardly any weight to an airplane that's got an 18.5-foot wingspan that weighs 75 pounds. So I'm adding something like 2 pounds or 1.8 pounds or something like that of weight to the whole airplane. But with that, that's basically what I wanted to do on this more in-depth update so everybody understands where we're at. I'm probably going to do a video later tonight of actually mounting some hardware on the wings and starting to play around with getting the leading edge slats on. Those are going to go on and off a couple of times because I still need to paint them. But I need to get them fitted and get all the holes figured out where they go before I paint it, because they're kind of semi-transparent right now. So thanks for watching my videos, everybody. Hopefully this new camera and the new format I'm doing, you're getting better audio, you're getting decent video. The camera is kind of, I'm just learning how to use the camera, but right now the camera, this room's a little bit dark, but if I increase the exposure just one notch, it looks like it's over. It's almost too bright in this room, and we may end up making it look like that. That way you can see at least detail. I'd rather a room look a little bit too bright than look a little bit too dark. So I'll be back later. Everybody have an awesome night, and we're going to get this baby done. We're going to get it in the air. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.